bring in a Republican senator from Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. She serves on the Judiciary Committee. Senator, always great to see you. Your reaction to this back and forth and Justice Roberts' response to it?
Yes, Martha, President Donald Trump has said he was going to make America safe again. And getting these criminal, illegal aliens out of communities where they have been carrying out horrific and heinous crimes, that's a part of it. And moving them to El Salvador, that is great. And I've got to tell you, if these liberal leftist judges want to defend foreign terrorist organizations, as we have designated them, then game on. Bring it on, because the American people want to make certain that these criminal, illegal aliens are gone, that they are out of here. That's what President Trump is doing. He has the right to do that, and we will see how this plays out in court.
Indeed. I want to take a look at this. Injunctions halting presidential policies. This is sort of something of a pattern that we see against the actions of President Trump, who, as you say, during the campaign made it very clear that he wanted to get gang members from other countries who are not U.S. citizens out of the country. These people did not leave voluntarily. People who are here illegally were given that option, and so now they've been removed on a plane. But look at this, injunctions halting presidential policies, 64 against President Trump, and you can see the numbers are in the teens and lower than that for all of these other presidents. Why is that?
It is because the left has absolutely lost their mind, and they cannot believe that they lost this election. They have Trump derangement syndrome. We're seeing it even in judges. And of course, Judge Boasberg was appointed by Obama. We all know what he did with Russiagate. We know he's an activist judge. But when you look at the total, 64 injunctions against President Trump in his first term. And in the month of February alone, there were 15 against Trump policies to block them from taking effect. And in Biden's 4 years, there was a total of 14. So it shows you how the activist bench is rearing its head. What they're missing is this. The Democrats are on the wrong side of every single issue, whether it's securing the border or removing these criminal, illegal aliens who we have deemed as foreign terrorist organizations, or whether it's keeping men out of women's sports. These are issues where 80% of the American people are saying, you go, Donald Trump, we are with you in this fight. And the Democrats are lined up with the 20%. Just think about this. We've got a judge who would protect criminal illegal aliens before he would stand up and protect U.S. communities.
Well, I think the politics are pretty clear on this. I don't see a lot of American citizens rising up and saying, you know, that person was my neighbor. He's a great guy. Why'd you kick him out? I haven't seen any of that yet. We'll see what comes of this. And they say that they intend to continue to do this. But here's some breaking news. A federal judge, because this is a whole other legal issue that has cropped up over Trump policy just moments ago, Senator. A federal judge is ordering the reinstatement of USAID functions in a court loss for the Trump administration. This is a federal judge in Maryland who ruled against the effort to shut down USAID, ordering the government on an accelerated basis, quote, to basically reinstate the agency's statutory functions. We saw them literally removing the letters off the outside of the building for USAID, Senator. What's your reaction to that?
This is more of your Trump derangement syndrome. This is more of these activist judges. So here you have a judge who is standing up for wasting taxpayer money. It is not the judge's money. It is not the court's money. This is money that hard-working taxpayers have earned and sent to Washington, D.C. And if they're going to decide they don't want to pay for Sesame Street in Iraq or DEI education in another country or trans surgeries in another country. Martha, the American people have spoken. They gave Donald Trump a mandate on November 5th. He is carrying that out. He made promises. He is keeping those promises. The Republican-led House and Senate are standing with him on this. This is another of an activist judge trying to block Trump policies and get in the way of what it will take to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C., protect taxpayer money, and make certain that government is going through doging itself and ridding the federal government of waste, fraud, and abuse of taxpayer money.
Well, there was a time when we heard President Obama talk about the need to get rid of waste and fraud and abuse. President Clinton talked about it. But because President Trump is doing it, it seems like there's a pretty big backlash as usual. At least this time it's over policy that as we watch this play out. So
that's right.
Thank you very much, Senator Blackburn. Always good to see you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.